It is very interesting to start reading classics, but lots of people create problems in their minds about doing this. They say, for example, I am not that much sophisticated or educated to read classics, or I cannot even understand a word of James Joyce, T.S. Eliot, or even Virginia Woolf. Actually, I need to confess, James Joyce is really hard to understand. Anyway, in today's video we're going to talk about the ways by which we can read complex works of classic literature and to get the most out of these books. If you're interested in topics related to literature, reading, literary criticism, and so on, hit that subscribe button to watch my future videos as well. And now, tip number 1, change your mindset about classics. Classic books are, before anything else, stories at their heart and are written for ordinary people like me and you. This is the academic attitude towards classic that introduced this genre as a complex one. But ordinary people and even the new students of literature are not like professional professors or scholars. Don't forget that classic literature is the beginning of human experiences, and the chance to read these masterpieces of artistic works is very valuable, and it is able to change your characteristics as a human being. And this is really the exact thing that classics do. So when you are going to read classics, treat them as normal stories with certain characters and beautiful scenes and the final impressions they have on you. So tip number 1 is not to worry about classics and treat them as stories which are highly important and highly valuable, and that they are the best kinds of literature, and that they must have lots of lessons in them, and only those readers who enjoy reading them will finally find those sweet life lessons. Tip number 2, you shouldn't read all the classics. I see sometimes the title of some videos is like 100 classics you should read this year, or 20 classics you should read in this month. It is very good to be fast in reading because you can read more books, but it is not true always, especially in the case of classics. The enjoyment, which I believe is the most important goal of reading literature, is to live with the book you are reading. It speaks to your soul, and you must consume some parts of it each day. Reading fast eliminates this kind of enjoyment I'm talking about, and hence you end up hating not only classics but also other types of literary works too. If you rush through the classics, you will get the plot because it is a story, but you will miss the beauty of the book as well as its influential function. Please stop looking at page numbers when you're reading the book and take time to chew it over like a fine food or a fine wine that it is. When you read the book like this, you will have the pure feeling of literature, and you will find yourself in the middle of that story with its specific atmosphere. You know, I love the classic literature of Victorian age, and I always imagine myself in the middle of their special ceremonies, their dancing costumes, and their special kind of clothing. And this is what literature does if you read it correctly. So don't bother yourself reading one classic a week. Reading one or at most 2 classics in a month is perfect, and you must also put other types of literary works in your plans. Tip number 3, and this is the tip that I think you will like it a lot. As I mentioned before, classical novels are the best kinds of literature, and there are lots of movie adaptations out there which are based on these stories. Watch these movies before you read the original text. In this way, you will get a sense of costumes, background, the historical context, and lots of information about the novel. And also the way characters behave and talk. These are very important points and they can help you understand the original text better. You can also watch these movies after you read the original text. Both ways are influential in your understanding of feelings and atmosphere of the text. But don't forget to watch these movie adaptations because they are a complementary part of your understanding. Tip number 4, and finally we reach the importance of highlighting and taking notes. You have to use a highlighter or a pencil to underline the important sentences of the classic book. And of course, you must do that to a cheaper version of the classic book and not to those expensive ones. You can underline the beautiful sentences of the book. You can type them or even print them and use them in your real life experiences. This helps you to change the way you see the world, and it helps you to have the best feeling of living in this universe. This kind of unique sense is not available to so many people, and you can separate yourself from those who got stuck in the boring routine life. Make sure to do that because the experience is priceless, really priceless. In addition to the act of highlighting, you can also take notes like a normal reader. You don't have to look at the text from a highly educated, sophisticated, bombastic point of view. The classic story talks to you, and you can take any kind of note as you like it. And those notes are valuable to your understanding, and you must be happy about it. So don't worry about your notes. No one is going to read them except yourself. When a text is trying to talk to you, you must also try to talk to that. And it is a kind of a mutual interaction between you and the text. And this is exactly what we call deep reading. The final tip is tip number 5, which I'm not that much interested in this tip, but it can also be helpful, is to read a short summary or watch a video of a person who is telling you a short summary, not spoiling the text, but giving you a kind of introductory information about that book so that you can see if it appeals to you and your taste, and if you are interested to start reading it. Also, after finishing the classical book, you can go to YouTube or any other site you wish and find videos of reviewing that book. There are lots of contents and videos that people are sharing about that specific novel. You can watch those videos and heighten your understanding of the novel and also add new notes to your previous notes. This is also a very good tip in your understanding of classic novels. Don't forget to do that. So these are the 5 tips in reading classics, and let's review them one more time. Tip number 1, change your mindset about the classics and demystify them to the level of normal stories. Tip number 2, the enjoyment of reading classics is much more important than the number of classics you read. Tip number 3, watch the movie adaptation based on your selected classical novel, either before or after you read it. Tip number 4, pay attention to the importance of highlighting and taking notes. Tip number 5, find suitable and short summaries of the book you're going to read to see if it appeals to your taste. The final point to consider here is that what is common among these 5 tips is the level of engagement with the book, which is the most important point in the whole process of reading. All these tips are trying to engage you with the text, and the more you engage with it, the more you know it. And this deep level of understanding will finally move to your long-term memory, which is what we all wish to happen. Thanks for your time, and I hope this video helps you to start reading classics as soon as possible. Thanks for watching. Take care.